Have you ever wondered why, despite earning enough, your bank account always feels empty at the end of the month? What if the reason isn't your income, but the way your brain is wired to think about money? Every time you swipe your card impulsively, there's a psychological force at play, influencing your decisions without you realizing it. Overspending isn't just a habit, it's a reflection of emotions, beliefs, and even past experiences. Imagine feeling instant relief when buying something, followed by guilt or regret later. That emotional roller coaster is the hidden driver behind most spending habits. Your brain associates purchases with rewards, even when they are unnecessary or harmful to your long-term goals. You might justify buying things you don't need because they bring temporary comfort, but that comfort is fleeting, leaving you in the same financial stress you wanted to escape. Why does this happen repeatedly to so many people? One key factor is emotional spending, triggered by stress, boredom, or social pressure. The brain releases dopamine during a purchase, creating a brief sense of happiness. This chemical reward conditions the brain to seek the same pleasure repeatedly. Over time, spending becomes automatic, not intentional. Another factor is beliefs about money, such as I deserve this or I've earned it. These beliefs can lead to justifying purchases without considering long-term consequences. Childhood experiences also play a role. If you grew up in scarcity or witnessed financial stress, your brain may overcompensate by seeking instant gratification. Social influences are equally powerful. Advertising, social media, and peer pressure constantly signal that buying more equals happiness. Even subtle cues, like seeing someone else's luxury items online, can trigger impulsive purchases. The paradox is that most people want financial freedom but act in ways that sabotage it. Overspending creates stress, anxiety, and guilt, which ironically can lead to more emotional spending. This creates a vicious cycle that's hard to break without awareness. Let's consider Sarah, who earns a good salary but constantly feels broke by the month's end. She buys clothes, gadgets, and subscriptions to feel accomplished, yet savings remain minimal. Her brain links spending to short-term reward, ignoring long-term goals. John, on the other hand, avoids thinking about money entirely, using spending as a distraction from financial anxiety. Both patterns stem from the same psychological triggers but manifest differently. Emotional awareness is the first step toward breaking this cycle. Ask yourself, when do you spend impulsively? And what emotion are you trying to satisfy? Stress, boredom, sadness, and excitement all have different spending triggers. Awareness allows you to pause and question the impulse before acting on it. Another hidden factor is cognitive biases, like the instant gratification bias. Your brain favors immediate rewards over future gains, even if long-term consequences are worse. For example, buying a $50 gadget feels more rewarding than saving that 50 for months to reach a larger goal. This bias is natural, but awareness allows you to override it with intentional choices. Another psychological element is anchoring, where pricing and comparison influence spending. Seeing a discounted item may feel like a deal, even if you didn't need it initially. Marketers exploit these biases because the human brain is wired to respond emotionally to numbers and perceived value. Then there's the social identity factor. Buying certain brands or items can signal status or belonging. This taps into a deep desire for acceptance and recognition, which can override rational financial thinking. Many people overspend to maintain a certain image, unaware of the hidden psychological costs. Emotional triggers, cognitive biases, and social pressures that's all combined to make overspending feel inevitable. But it's not hopeless. The first step is recognition. Awareness of your triggers gives you the power to pause and rethink before spending. Imagine knowing exactly why you reach for your credit card and choosing a different action instead. The next part will explore real-life examples and stories of overspending, showing how these patterns play out in daily life. By reflecting on these examples, you'll see yourself in their experiences. You'll understand the emotions, beliefs, and subtle pressures that drive your financial decisions. Recognizing these patterns is the foundation for change. Once you see the psychology behind your spending, you can begin to disrupt it. The key is not restriction, but strategic awareness and emotional control. In part two, we'll dive into actionable stories and strategies that will help you stop overspending before it starts. Your journey toward intentional spending begins with understanding your mind. Once you see the forces at work, you regain satiety. Let's look at real people to understand how overspending really happens in everyday life. Meet Emily, a marketing executive who always earns more than enough to cover her bills, yet by the end of every month, her checking account is nearly empty. She shops online whenever she feels stressed or bored, seeking instant gratification. Her brain releases dopamine with each purchase, reinforcing the habit subconsciously. Emily doesn't even notice most of her purchases. They feel automatic, almost like a reflex. Now, consider James, a college student who constantly upgrades gadgets to fit in with friends. He believes spending more signals success and social status, even when it exceeds his means. Social pressure and the comparison drive him to make impulsive financial choices. Both Emily and James demonstrate the emotional and social triggers behind overspending. Another example is Karen, a stay-at-home mom who buys treats to reward herself after a long day. These small indulgences feel harmless but accumulate into significant expenses over time. And Karen's purchases are tied to emotion, not necessity, showing how subtle overspending can be bad. Then there's Michael, who struggles with scarcity thinking. He fears missing out, so he constantly buys items just in case, and even if he doesn't need them. Michael's overspending is rooted in anxiety and a deep belief that if resources are limited. These examples show that overspending isn't always obvious. It's often tied to hidden emotional triggers. Even when people know they should save, emotions like fear, excitement, and stress override logic. Let's examine Lisa, who struggles with binge shopping during sales. The idea of a deal triggers excitement, leading to purchases she never planned. She rationalizes it as saving money, even though it's unnecessary spending. This illustrates how cognitive biases like anchoring and the instant gratification amplify overspending. Real life stories highlight that overspending is rarely about poor math. It's psychological. Emotional needs, social comparisons, and mental shortcuts all drive behavior. Another subtle factor is habit. Repeated patterns of spending become automatic, bypassing conscious decision making. Someone may grab coffee daily out of routine, not necessity, adding up to hundreds monthly. This is why tracking spending habits is crucial. It reveals patterns you weren't aware of. Let's look at Jake, who often buys lunch instead of meal prepping. He thinks it's convenient, but habit combined with social influence inflates his expenses. Anna, another example, subscribes to multiple streaming platforms she rarely uses. She's paying for convenience and perceived entertainment, not actual need. Both Jake and Anna show how subconscious habits reinforce overspending over time. Emotional spending also shows up in gift giving. Some people buy excessively for friends or family, not out of generosity, but to feel approval. While the act seems kind, it can create financial strain if done without intention. Real life examples like these reveal patterns that many overlook in their own finances. Now, consider subtle triggers like social media. Scrolling through posts showcasing lifestyles or luxury items can ignite a sense of lack or urgency that can push someone to make purchases to keep up, even beyond their budget. Recognizing triggers is the first step toward breaking them. Reflection helps people see when spending it is emotional, when habitual, or socially influenced. Next, to consider the effect of unplanned expenses combined with overspending habits. It creates a cycle of financial stress and impulsive purchases, reinforcing anxiety. People often spend to feel better temporarily, even though it worsens long-term stress. Overspending also impacts relationships, creating tension when partners have different financial habits. Many people experience guilt or shame, which paradoxically drives more emotional spending. Awareness of this cycle allows for conscious disruption before patterns spiral. The next step is connecting these stories to your own life. Ask, when do you overspend? And what emotion are you trying to satisfy? Is it stress, excitement, boredom, or the desire to fit in? Understanding your triggers is the foundation for long-term change. In part 3, we'll reveal a twist about overspending psychology, something most people completely miss that keeps the cycle alive. By understanding this twist, you'll gain clarity and tools to regain control over your financial choices. Awareness transforms spending from automatic reactions to intentional, conscious decisions, paving the way for lasting financial freedom. Up until now, we've explored emotional triggers and real-life examples, but there's a hidden factor most people completely miss. The twist is that overspending isn't just about impulses or poor planning. It's often about identity and self-worth. How you perceive yourself influences how you spend more than your budget ever will. For instance, someone who feels undeserving of wealth may spend impulsively to gain temporary validation. Buying a designer item or gadget can create the illusion of self-worth, even if it's financially harmful. Another example is someone who defines themselves as a generous person. They may overspend on gifts, experiences, or donations to maintain that self-image. In both cases, the spending is emotional and tied to identity rather than need. This explains why some people know they are overspending, yet feel compelled to do it anyway. Their actions are aligned with their subconscious self-image, not rational thinking. Another factor is loss aversion, the psychological tendency to fear missing out. Sales, limited offers, or social comparisons create pressure that overrides careful financial planning. Your brain rewards action over inaction, even if the action is financially unwise. Emotional spending also feeds on habit loops. Cue, craving, and the reward combine to make overspending feel automatic and unavoidable. The cue might be boredom or stress. The craving is relief, and the reward is dopamine. Recognizing these loops allows you to interrupt them before they become costly habits. Another subtle twist is that financial education alone isn't enough. Knowing you shouldn't overspend doesn't prevent emotional reactions from taking control. That's why so many people fail, despite budgeting, tracking, or planning diligently. Awareness without emotional realignment is like knowing the exit exists but ignoring the map. Then there's the social reinforcement factor. Friends, family, and social media can normalize overspending, making it feel acceptable. This creates invisible pressure to match lifestyles beyond your means. Even subtle cues like seeing friends' vacations online can trigger purchases to keep up. Many people fail to recognize the subconscious influence of comparison on spending. Another twist is delayed consequences. Overspending rarely results in immediate crisis. It's gradual, creeping into your finances. Because consequences are delayed, the brain doesn't always treat them as urgent. This makes impulsive decisions feel harmless in the moment, even if they are damaging long-term. Emotional triggers, identity, habit loops, social reinforcement, and delayed consequences all combine to make overspending persistent. But there's hope. Understanding these forces is the first step to disrupting them. Mindful awareness allows you to separate identity from spending behaviors. You can ask, am I buying this because I need it or because it aligns with how I see myself? This one question can interrupt automatic spending and create space for intentional choice. Another powerful insight is emotion substitution. You can replace the desire for a purchase with a healthier emotional response like exercise, journaling, or learning. This redirects dopamine release toward productive actions instead of impulsive spending. Another method is future self-visualization. Imagining your future financially secure self creates motivation to resist unnecessary purchases today. This taps into long-term rewards, counteracting the brain's natural instant gratification bias. Then there's reward delay training, practicing waiting before making purchases 24 hours a week or a month reduces emotional reactivity. Over time, this strengthens your ability to make intentional financial decisions. Finally, consider the power of supportive accountability. Sharing financial goals with a trusted friend or mentor keeps your actions aligned with values. Transparency reduces emotional spending by creating external reinforcement. The hidden twist, in essence, is that overspending is a mix of emotion, identity, habit, and social influence, not just lack of self-control. Awareness of these factors allows for intentional strategies that disrupt automatic spending. By combining emotional recognition, habit interruption, and identity realignment, overspending can be controlled. The next part will provide practical strategies and a step-by-step plan to stop overspending effectively. You'll learn exactly how to retrain your mind and habits to align with your financial goals. Once these strategies are implemented, you gain both control and confidence over your money. Understanding the hidden forces behind spending gives you the power to act consciously instead of reacting. In part 4, we'll move from insight to action, showing how to transform your psychology into lasting financial control. Now that we understand the psychology behind overspending, it's time to take real action. Awareness alone isn't enough. You need a strategy to transform insight into control. Step 1 is identify your triggers. Pay attention to when and why you spend impulsively. Is it stress, boredom, peer influence, or emotional reward? Keeping a spending journal for a week will reveal patterns invisible to the eye. Step 2 is pause before purchasing. Implement a 24-hour rule for non-essential items. This simple delay reduces reduces impulsive reactions and gives your brain time to reconsider. Step 3 is budget with intention. Allocate specific amounts for necessities, savings, and discretionary spending. Clear limits create structure without feeling overly restrictive. Step 4 is replace emotional spending with healthier alternatives. Exercise, journaling, or calling a friend can satisfy the same dopamine release without financial consequences. Step 5 is visualize your future self. Imagine being debt-free, financially secure, and confident in your choices. Step 6 is set concrete financial goals. Instead of vague ideas, create measurable targets like saving $500 this month or investing $100 weekly. Step 7 is automate savings and investments. Paying yourself first ensures that wealth creation is prioritized over impulse. Step 8 is unsubscribing from unnecessary subscriptions. Step 9 is limit exposure to advertising and social media triggers. Unfollow accounts that induce comparison or unnecessary desire to spend. Step 10 is practice gratitude for what you already have. Gratitude reduces the need to seek fulfillment through material purchases. Step 11 is reward yourself intentionally. Plan small, meaningful rewards that don't derail your budget or goals. And step 12 is set spending boundaries with family and friends. Communicate your financial goals and create accountability systems. Step 13 is visual reminders of your financial goals. Keep a photo or note of your dream purchase or savings goal to inspire restraint. Step 14 is educate yourself on personal finance. Knowledge reduces fear, builds confidence, and empowers better decision making. Step 15 is review your progress weekly. Analyze your spending, adjust strategies, and celebrate successes. Step 16 is embrace minimalist thinking. Ask yourself, do I truly need this or am I buying for validation? Step 17 is use cash or debit instead of credit. Physically seeing money leave your hands reinforces the value of each purchase. Step 18 is practice mindful shopping. Make a list, stick to it, and avoid browsing without intention. Step 19 is replace scarcity mindset with abundance mindset. Believing you have enough reduces the emotional urge to overspend. Step 20 is learn from mistakes. Don't punish yourself. Every financial misstep is an opportunity to adjust habits and beliefs. Watching savings grow or debt decrease reinforces positive behavior. Share your goals with someone who encourages responsible spending. Step 23 is celebrate milestones to reinforce motivation. Step 24 is commit to ongoing self-awareness. By applying these steps consistently, you transform spending from a reflexive habit into intentional, empowering choices that align with your financial goals. Now imagine a life where you control your spending rather than it controlling you. Picture opening your bank account and seeing balance growing instead of disappearing. Visualize making purchases intentionally without guilt or impulse. This is possible when you align your actions with both insight and strategy. Step 1 toward transformation is commitment to change. Decide today that overspending will no longer dictate your financial life. Step 2 is apply the strategies consistently. Awareness plus action equals real change. Step 3 is reinforce emotional control. Recognize triggers, pause, and choose intentional responses. Step 4 is habit restructuring. Replace impulsive habits with conscious financial behaviors. Step 5 is celebrate small wins. Every dollar saved, every impulse resisted is progress toward mastery. Step 6 is visualization of your future self. Daily mental rehearsal strengthens resolve and motivation. Step 7 is social accountability. Share goals with trusted friends or family to reinforce commitment. Step 8 is education and self-improvement. The more you learn about personal finance, the more confident your choices become. Step 9 is tracking progress. Monitor spending, savings, and milestones to see tangible results. Step 10 is embracing gratitude for what you have. Gratitude diminishes the urge to seek fulfillment through unnecessary purchases. Step 11 is long-term goal alignment. Ensure every financial decision supports your bigger vision. Step 12 is resilience in the face of setbacks. Mistakes are lessons, not failures. They refine your strategy. Step 13 is intentional reward system. Plan meaningful rewards that align with your financial goals. Step 14 is minimalist approach to wants versus needs. Question every purchase. Is it essential or emotional? Step 15 is eliminate recurring unnecessary expenses. Subscriptions, impulse buys, and convenient spending add up unnoticed. Step 16 is emotion substitution. Replace the dopamine from spending with healthier activities like exercise or learning. Step 17 is mindful shopping habits. Stick to lists, avoid unplanned browsing, and shop with purpose. Step 18 is delayed gratification for non-essential purchases. This strengthens impulse control and reinforces long-term rewards. Step 19 is reframing identity around financial responsibility. identity. See yourself as someone who makes intentional, empowered decisions. Step 20 is building financial confidence. Each small success reinforces your belief in your ability to control money. Step 21 is visual reminders of goals, photos, notes, or charts to keep your objectives clear and motivating. Step 22 is embracing abundance mindset. Believe that wealth and security are attainable through deliberate choices. Step 23 is continuous reflection on habits and decisions. Review what works, adjust what doesn't, and evolve your strategies. Step 24 is long-term consistency. True transformation requires repeated application over weeks, months, and years. Step 25 is celebrating mastery, the confidence, control, and clarity you've earned. When all these strategies are applied, overspending is no longer a problem. It becomes a conscious choice, not a compulsion. Start today, implement these steps, and transform your psychology and habits to create financial freedom, intentional spending, and lasting wealth.